Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. We'll go ahead and get started with our guest today. Our first question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Sean. I'm David Theriault. I'm the founder and president of 4K Solutions. We do deployable cellular, satellite, and radio over IP technologies for commercial and government use around the world.
Wow, fantastic. That's a unique area there to be more in the communications part. So that's a new one for me to have a guest on that with your background. So that's fantastic. Question number 2, what's the best thing about working with a team?
Solving people's problems collectively, so we work together, understand what our customers' requirements are, collectively work together, solve the problem. It's not a push down approach to how we answer a customer's problem set. So we work hand in hand, come to a conclusion, and then we go with a solution, products, hardware, services to deliver.
I like that. So the collaboration of that collective is the word you use, that collective problem solving. I like that a lot. Question number 3, I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. Tell us your thoughts.
The team members have to have buy-in. So you have to let them understand what in the military, what the mission is and how we're all going to be part of it. And then on the commercial side, what the problem is that we're going to help a customer solve and how everybody is a cog in the wheel and how we're how we're all going to collaborate together to solve the problem. And if somebody feels disengaged and their inputs are not valued, then they're not going to work as hard. They're not going to have buy-in. And I find if we work together, regardless if I'm the president of the company and I have a tech who's working on a bench, I listen to everyone. They all have valid input. We all work together, and then they really have buy-in to a customer and the problem and what we're delivering. Does that make sense?
It does. I like that a lot. You're absolutely right. I like this concept of buy-in and making sure everybody knows what their role is and what's expected of them. And otherwise, that ambiguity is a lot of times what creates that disengagement. So great comments. Like that a lot. Question number 4, what other piece of advice do you have for leaders of teams?
When you're working with people, it's understanding them. I work in my organization, I retired from the Ranger Regiment and Special Operations, and I have veterans that work for me. So I understand the idiosyncrasies of combat operations. I understand the stress levels that my veteran employees have. I understand it. I get it. I can understand where they're coming from, and I can manage them well. At the same token, I have civilians that work for me, and I understand where they come from. So if you can understand what's going on around your employees, it makes them better staff members, I guess team members, and then their people problems and family problems. And if you understand those, and maybe there's some PTSD, there's some combat related problems, and I think I'm pretty good at understanding those. My care level can go up and down, but I think that's the best way you can manage your staff is understanding, because once you have empathy to them and you know them, and they understand that you care. I worked in large organizations, and I was just, I was a butt in the seat for a defense contractor, and I don't think anybody knew my name except I was a billet down at a post somewhere.
And that's a very difficult feeling to have when you want to do a good job, but you don't feel like anybody knows and cares. I really like what you said there, David, about really making sure everybody feels a part of the team and getting to know them. I think that's a great comment. Question number 5, what other successful leaders of teams would you like to recognize that have had a positive influence in your life?
One that, when I was in the Air Force prior to my Army life, and when I came over, my first boss was Joe Pyshock down in 3rd Ranger Battalion. Newly minted Warrant Officer 1 in a Ranger Battalion, and he was an Army signal officer, and today he's a colonel. Understanding how the rapport he had with the lower enlisted Rangers to the higher echelon above, and how he managed both ends of the spectrum. Gave direct guidance. He was approachable. He's likable. He gave clear, definitive guidance. He rolled with the punches. And at the same token, he gave professional upward briefings and he gave advice without worrying about rank. Didn't worry about my next job. And so I find that and he was always open to change and innovative. And today, now he's a colonel. Known him for many years now, and I look at him going, that's the kind of guy, in a CEO level, CIO level. If he's an ROTC commander in New York City, that's the one everybody wants to be around. He's that guy, and I really like the way he approaches business, military operations, and people, right? Because regardless in what corporate world or military world, it's a people game, right? And if you have people skills, everything, and you understand things, and that's how I like Colonel Joe Pyshak down at USOCOM. Great leader.
Thank you for recognizing him and explaining why that you like him.
It's not the emotion. I mean, just a great leader.
Oh, it sounds like it. Thank you for recognizing him. Last question. Tell us about your first job.
First real job?
I'll let you define what is the first real job, but whatever you'd like to share.
Yeah, I guess, understanding, I would say working with my sister on her paper route in Bristol, Connecticut, and where we collectively, again, my older sister, my younger brother, and my sister bought a paper route in Bristol, Connecticut. It was 15 customers, and we grew that to over 150 or something over the years. And I understand customer service, sucking it up and getting out there when it's 15 degrees, it's sleeting, you still have to deliver. I understood how to handle money. I understood how not to do right things, like spending tip money at the corner store on games and stuff. So that was my first experience with business and understanding a job, and showing up on time and people counting on you, and what it feels like to let people down, like my sister, and then also successfully growing the business, right? Or that Bristol newspaper business, which was pretty good. And we ended up when we had a lot of customers.
Yeah, it sounds like it. We start with 15 and go to 150, if I heard you correctly. So I always love hearing that, what people's first jobs were, but even more so what lessons they learned from it. So thank you for sharing those, both of it, the job that you did, the paper out, as well as what you learned from it, because that to me is the most important part. David, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
Sean, thank you very much for having me. It was great. You can find me at 4ksolutions.com. We're out there on the web, www.4ksolutions.com, and then dt@4ksolutions.com is my email.
Fantastic. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders and teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can go to teamengagementpodcast.com and download our engagement booster tip sheet. There's no cost to it. It's free. Once again, teamengagementpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us and listening today. Have a great day.